it's Parsifal. I also go by Will, and I am back for another quick food babble. Before I get into it, drawing credits. This is Acillia. I think that's how you pronounce that. And I don't know the username of the person that owns this character, but I was asked to draw it or slash traded it with my friend Rowan, and it belongs to one of my friend. It belongs to Rowan's friend. But yeah, as usual, if you want to mute me and just watch Speedpaint, put on your own music, that's fine. Go ahead and do that. Alright, so into the quick babble. I wanted to talk about Thanksgiving. This video was going up in November, so I wanted to talk about it just a little bit. And I don't know if this is a weird thing to talk about, but I want to talk about my experience with my favorite Thanksgiving food. I grew up in a mostly Chinese family. We had, actually, I'm gonna back up for a second and go and let you guys know that I'm going to mention cultural heritage and ethnicity a lot here. And I'm doing this in a way where I'm going to simplify it. I'm going to call my family Chinese, and I'm going to call a lot of people white people, and I don't mean this in a racial way. I guess I could be saying American, but not everyone who, I get, not everyone who is American is white, not everyone who's white is American. So when I say white people, I mean white American culture. And in this case, this is relevant, and it's not universal, but it is notably different than the culture that I grew up in, which I'm going to refer to as Asian or Chinese, because I grew up with a Chinese family. And we were American. We were Chinese American, so we were Americans, hence why I'm not saying American for white people. But we were also still very culturally Chinese American. So when I say Chinese, I mean Chinese American, and when I say white people, I mean Caucasian American, European American, etc. Like, white American culture. I don't mean this in like necessarily a racial way, specifically like, oh, because they have white, pale skin, whatever. That's not what I mean. I mean culturally. So now with that, what do you call it? The intro out of the way for that. That's not the word I'm looking for, but it's the one that comes to mind. I'm going to talk about my experience. So, as I said, I grew up in a Chinese family. We were Chinese American, and my grandmother did a lot of the cooking. I have a lot of relatives who married white gentlemen, because most of the people in my family are Chinese women, though even my uncle married a very nice Caucasian lady. And we grew up in some pretty white suburbs of Chicago. And so they had a lot of white friends and a lot of white family friends, and we were kind of the only people of color in the area, at least that I knew of. I mean, like, I knew of other, like, Asian families and stuff. I knew they existed. I interacted with them at, like, school, but, like, they weren't family friends. I didn't know them. And as a result, whenever my family hosted Thanksgiving, it was interesting. I never really liked Thanksgiving food. I don't know whether this was a byproduct of my family not being white Americans and therefore not having that cultural cooking aspect, or if it was just because, like, I didn't like the way they cooked things, because it's not because any people in my family were bad cooks. A good amount of the people in my family were very good cooks. But I'm also on the autistic spectrum, and therefore I have things with certain foods and textures and combinations and stuff, so it could have just been that. But I never really liked Thanksgiving food growing up. I never really understood the appeal of it. Everyone around me was going, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be so full after Thanksgiving, I'm gonna need to lose weight. I'm gonna have to do so much, and that happened with Christmas too. I'm gonna eat so much, and I'm gonna be so full. And I didn't understand that. Like, I didn't understand why everyone was eating so much. I didn't understand that it was because they thought the food was really good. Because I did not like the turkey that my family made. It was always white meat. It was never dark meat. It was always pretty bland and flavorless. I never really liked the ham. I don't really like cranberry sauce. It's not my thing. I don't really... I didn't really like the potatoes that my family served. They were always scalloped potatoes, but they always had this weird lack of... It wasn't like necessarily a lack of flavor, but something about it was missing something. And I theorized that it was because it was missing salt, because Chinese food has a lot of salt in it due to all the sauces and stuff, but that means that if they're cooking without those sauces, then it might not necessarily have that salt inherently in it. And I wasn't allowed to add salt to my food as a kid, so a lot of the food I had I found bland and tasteless. The only thing I really, really liked was I really liked Pillsbury croissants. We always made a whole lot of them, and I always ate like 6 or 7 because I wouldn't eat any of the other food. And everyone called me a picky eater because of it, but I guess I just didn't like how the food tasted. I didn't think it was very good. I don't know. I never really liked any of the food. I didn't like the turkey. I didn't like the ham. I didn't like the I didn't really like their pumpkin pie either, admittedly, which is stunning because I like pumpkin pie now. There's a lot of stuff that I did not like, and I didn't understand how everyone was so hyped up about Thanksgiving and Christmas food. Then I went to college, but, I still came home for Christmas and Thanksgiving, so, I still had the same food made by my family and our family friends. And then I moved out. After I finished college, I moved out, and I moved to Washington, and I have 2 landlords. A nice Filipino lady, who is the mom of one of my best friends, and her boyfriend, who is... I don't want to call him a generic white dude, but he is a very dad-like Caucasian man who is very American. And so they're both my landlords, and I live in the same house with them. And they invited us to Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners because the lady is, Asian and has very, Asian mom tendencies of, you're not eating enough, I don't see you eat, come join us, come eat with us. And the man is very home-style, barbecuing, white barbecue, white comfort food sort of guy when it comes to cooking. And as a result, when they invited me for Thanksgiving Christmas dinners, it was the first time that I'd ever had a Thanksgiving meal where I understood why people were going ham about it. Excuse the pun. I finally understood what the big deal was, because the turkey was delicious, the ham was delicious, the mashed potatoes were garlic mashed potatoes with gravy. There was a fruit salad that had marshmallow fluff in it instead of just regular fruit salad. It was like, it had cherries and pecans and hazelnuts and some grapes and some mandarin oranges, and it's all with this marshmallow fluff and this cocktail juice, and it was so delicious. And still wasn't a super big fan of cranberry sauce, but it's fine. It was at least presented with other stuff, and the green beans were had garlic in it, and they weren't bland, and it wasn't asparagus again. And the stuffing, oh my god, the stuffing was my favorite. And I don't know if it was a stovetop stuffing or what, but it was a stuffing that I didn't think I would like, because I didn't like stuffing before. When my Chinese family cooked stuffing, they put a lot of chopped up vegetables in it. They put a lot of celery in it. They put potatoes in it, which the potatoes were fine, but the celery and the onions and the chopped up vegetables created a lot of weird textural things in my mouth. And I also just don't like the flavor of celery. I do not like celery. It's gross. And this stuffing didn't have that. It was either turkey or chicken based stuffing, and it was mostly bread and garlic and spices, and there wasn't any celery in it. And I understood then what stuffing was supposed to be in a traditional American Thanksgiving, and holy fuck did I fall in love with Thanksgiving stuffing. It was my favorite thing, and it is my favorite Thanksgiving food now. And I look forward to Thanksgiving and Christmas meals and the stuffing every single year now. And I really, really wonder sometimes, because of it, like, what is it about the difference between, like, immigrant American families and their food culture and Caucasian American, white American families? Because it can't just be because a white person made it and therefore, like, it's a different recipe. I don't know what it is, but it was an astonishing experience to have, to just be like, oh, that's why everyone's excited about Thanksgiving. But yeah, that is my little babble about how I discovered my favorite Thanksgiving food after thinking that I just didn't like Thanksgiving. How about you guys? Is there any foods that you discovered late in life that you love, that you realize maybe you just didn't like it because it wasn't prepared in a way that you liked? I'd love to talk about it. Leave your comments down below. And let me know if there's any foods that you think that I should try this coming holiday season, because I am absolutely up for trying new foods. Again, unless they have celery in it, obviously. But yeah, thank you for joining me for this food babble, and I will send you guys to the outro. See you! Well, that's the end of this video. As usual, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below in the comment section, or contact me on any of my social media, which is linked in the description below. I also have my Patreon there if you guys want to throw a monthly donation at me. Thanks so much for your support. I'll see you next time. Bye!